can't experience. I don't have any above the rim experience. On the other hand, I'm not Angel Reese. I'm 99% on my layups because I can't afford to miss a layup. My layup is my dunk. You understand me? Right.
What if I told you that the biggest battle in women's basketball right now isn't happening under the bright arena lights, but in a courtroom where careers, reputations, and millions of dollars are on the line? That the future of two of the sport's biggest names, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, comes down not to who can sink the most threes, but who can win the war of perception, sponsorships, and branding. Most fans tune into the WNBA thinking it's all about the game, about what happens between the lines. But the reality? The stakes are much higher than the scoreboard. This isn't just a sports rivalry. It's the clash of two empires, one rising and one crumbling, with the whole world watching. You clicked on this video because you've already heard the headlines. Angel Reese, once dubbed the Bayou Barbie, and seen as the face of a new generation of athletes who blurred the lines between sport and celebrity, is suing Caitlin Clark after losing out on sponsorship deals. That's the surface story. But here's the common belief most people carry, that this is just petty drama, jealousy over who's getting more attention.
See, for women's sports.
Us getting paid our worth.
Period.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're doing exactly what LeBron is doing, so Angel Reese, what's going on?
Sis,
I don't
they
like
ain't got
that.
the money for it just yet, but it's coming. It's coming.
Is it? I
It's like-
don't understand
It's
it.
a lot. It's a lot that goes into it. But it's coming. Trust me, it's coming.
Another example of athletes beefing for clout. Here's the contrarian take. This lawsuit isn't about cattiness, it's about control. It's about money, influence, power, and who gets to decide the future of women's basketball. Reese isn't just fighting Clark in court. She's fighting the system, the sponsors, and the narrative that left her in the shadows while Clark stepped into the spotlight. The proof? Look at the numbers. Caitlin Clark hasn't just joined the WNBA, she's exploded it. Attendance doubles when she plays. League Pass subscriptions have tripled. Jersey sales are through the roof, up over 1,000%. In just 90 days, she racked up more social media views than the NBA and NFL combined. She's not just an athlete, she's a walking, talking sponsorship machine. Meanwhile, Angel Reese, who built her brand on confidence, charisma, and viral moments, watched those same sponsors walk away almost overnight. One minute she's the golden girl of NCAA basketball, the next she's filing lawsuits just to keep her name in the conversation. That's not just a fall from grace, it's a collapse of a business model. So here's the plan for today. We're going to break this all down piece by piece. We'll start with the second best point, the turning. Moment when Ice Cube stepped in and put Caitlin Clark on a whole new level with a single $5 million offer. Then we'll move to the best point, the numbers and market forces that prove why Clark is untouchable and why Reese feels she has no choice but to fight in court. From there, we'll unpack the rest, the sponsorship exodus, the double standards, and how these two women are perceived, and the emotional war playing out across fan bases online. And along the way, I'll show you how this battle isn't just about basketball. It's about branding, identity, and the brutal reality of modern sports. Let's start with the Ice Cube moment. Picture this. Caitlin Clark is already hot property, dominating headlines, pulling in numbers the WNBA has never seen. But then Ice Cube, of all people, swoops in with an audacious move, offering her $5 million to play in his Big Three league. That's not a contract, that's a coronation. That's Cube saying, this is the one. This is the player who can move mountains, not just basketballs. And just like that, Clark went from breakout rookie to global star. Sponsors saw it, media saw it, fans saw it. She wasn't just good, she was bankable. Now apply this. For Reese, who once thrived off viral moments and a brash persona, this was devastating. If Cube had extended that same offer to her, maybe the narrative changes. But when reporters asked him if Reese was in line for the same deal, his answer was blunt. No, not now, not ever. He didn't sugarcoat it, didn't leave the door open. Reese, in his words, just didn't have the numbers. Imagine what that feels like. Not losing on the court, but being publicly dismissed as irrelevant to the business side of the game. Framing it this way, Cube's rejection wasn't just a business decision, it was a humiliation. It was a torch, passed not to Reese, but to Clark. Which brings us to the best point. The numbers that prove Caitlin Clark isn't just the face of the league, she is the league right now. Let's set the context. The WNBA has struggled for years to capture consistent mainstream attention. Attendance numbers were decent but stagnant. TV ratings lagged, sponsorships trickled rather than poured. Then Clark arrived, and the entire ecosystem shifted overnight. Application? She didn't just bring fans, she transformed casual interest into cultural obsession. When she plays, arenas sell out, jerseys vanish from shelves. People who never cared about women's basketball before suddenly tune in, framing it, this isn't just a star player. This is a once-in-a-generation market mover, the Michael Jordan of the women's game, the one who single-handedly redefines what's possible for the league's future. And here's where the lawsuit takes shape. Reese isn't suing because she thinks Clark outplayed her. She's suing because Clark outvalued her. That's the painful truth. In the boardrooms where the real power sits, Reese doesn't stand a chance. The brands don't care about viral taunts or Instagram clout. They care about ROI. And Caitlin Clark delivers. Reese, once the viral queen, is now framed as the risky investment, the volatile persona. That's why her sponsorships dried up. That's why she's in court. She's not just fighting Clark. She's fighting the perception that her brand is no longer worth the money. Rehook here. But don't think this is only about dollars and cents. This is also about double standards, and that's where things get messy. Remember when Angel Reese went viral for her "you can't see me" taunt in college? She was called cocky, disrespectful, dramatic. When Clark does something similar, she's celebrated as fiery, competitive, a warrior. The same actions, two different narratives. For Reese's fans, that's the smoking gun. To them, this lawsuit is bigger than sponsorships. It's payback. For a system that punished their star while rewarding another for the same behavior. That's why social media exploded when the news dropped. That's why hashtags trended, timelines filled with outrage, and accusations of racism and favoritism flew. Now let's zoom back out. Ice Cube's rejection of Reese wasn't just a personal slight, it was the turning point in a bigger story. Reese built her brand on personality, lashes, nails, confidence, the Bayou Barbie persona. She was the queen of swagger. But when she entered the WNBA, expectations met reality. The hype didn't translate into consistent dominance on the court, and sponsors noticed. Contrast that with Clark, whose steady, reliable performance made her the safer, more lucrative bet. Context: the flashy viral star versus the consistent marketable product. Application: one fizzled in translation, the other soared. Framing: this isn't just sport, this is business Darwinism, the survival of the marketable. And here's the gut punch. Reese isn't wrong to feel robbed. In her eyes, she didn't just lose deals, she lost her place in history. She was supposed to be the one. She was supposed to lead the WNBA into its new era. Instead, she's watching from the sidelines while Clark takes the crown. That's not just painful, it's existential. That's why she's in court. Because when your career is slipping, and the spotlight has shifted for good, you either accept the shadows, or you fight like hell to drag the light back, which brings us full circle. Fans want this to be about basketball. But the reality? This is about branding, money, and the brutal truth that in modern sports, perception is often more valuable than performance. Angel Reese is suing not just for damages, but for relevance. Caitlin Clark doesn't even have to swing back. The numbers are swinging for her. That's the expectation versus reality that defines this whole saga. And as this legal drama unfolds, one thing is clear. Women's basketball is no longer just about what happens on the court. It's about the narratives off it, the brands behind it, and the battles that spill out into courtrooms, boardrooms, and social media feeds. Expect more fireworks, expect more outrage, expect this to drag on far longer than anyone thinks. Because for Reese, this lawsuit isn't just her last stand, it's her only stand. So here's my closing thought. Caitlin Clark has already changed the WNBA forever, and the numbers prove it. Angel Reese, meanwhile, is fighting to prove that she still belongs in the conversation. One has the scoreboard, the sponsors, and the spotlight. The other has a lawsuit. And maybe that's the ultimate lesson for all of us watching. In the brutal business of sports, numbers don't lie, sponsors don't wait, and sometimes the game you think you're playing isn't the game that decides your future? Now, whether you side with Clark, Reese, or just love the drama, one thing's certain: you're going to want to keep watching this unfold. Because if this is what women's basketball looks like now, imagine what it's going to look like in 5 years. And hey, while you're here, stick around with us. We've got more breakdowns coming, more stories that go beyond the headlines. And trust me, you won't want to miss the next one.